Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Wednesday as you are listening to the show today. We, however, have pre-recorded our conversation on the old Zoom screen. It is The Valley Business Today. It is the first Wednesday of the month. That means I am sharing the Zoom screen with Nikki Kales from the Front Royal Warren County Chamber of Commerce. And joining her is Jim Martin from SCORE. Jim was on not too terribly long ago, though. Jim, I went to look up when you were on the show because part of my brain said it was just a few months ago, but the other part of my brain said it was 100.5 years ago, because that's what it has felt like since you were on this show last.
Well, that's a good question. I'm sitting here trying to remember when it was. I think it wasn't a year ago, but it probably is pretty close to a year.
Yeah, it is. It's all a blur.
Yeah.
But it's National Mentoring Month, and that's kind of the foundation that SCORE was built on. So, Nikki, kudos to you for lining Jim up as your guest today.
It was my plan. Totally my plan. It was not a coincidence or a happenstance at all.
So, Jim, tell us what SCORE is and what it does and what role National Mentoring Month plays.
Well, SCORE is actually a nonprofit organization formed in 1964. We are the nation's largest network of small business mentors. Started off as a bunch of, it used to be the senior, the Senior Corps of Retired Executives. A couple of executives who had retired back in the 60s wanted to give back to the community and thought that this would be a good way to share their expertise and experience with other businesses that were either trying to get started, or they wanted to grow, or it was time for them to exit and just didn't know what they were supposed to do. So these mentors got together and would assist them. And it has really kind of grown since then to a point where we're actually funded by a line in the federal budget. Congress allocates funds for SCORE. They give it as a kind of to be administered through the Small Business Administration. So we partner with the Small Business Administration, and our other resource partners are the Small Business Development Centers, the Veterans Business Opportunity Center, and Women's Business Centers. And in Virginia, the Women's Business Center, there's one in Virginia Beach with Old Dominion University. They are getting ready to open, if they haven't already, a new office in Richmond. The Veterans Business Opportunity Center is with ODU in Virginia Beach. And of course, SBDCs are located throughout the state. SCORE in Virginia, I am the district director for, we have 7 chapters and about 180 volunteers currently in the state. There are, just from that perspective, a wealth of resources for small businesses, either that are already in business or individuals that are thinking of starting a business to tap into to get some assistance.
And I think it's a great resource because it's real people who have been through it already. They've run a business or they're currently even running a business because, like you mentioned before, not everybody has to be retired now to still participate and be a mentor or volunteer for SCORE. And you can't always get the answers to your specific question about your unique business reading an article online or reading a book about business for dummies. So having somebody with that actual experience is a huge benefit.
Oh, absolutely. We probably ought to all be wearing T-shirts that say "Been there, done that." But you're right. And you also bring up a good point. Well, actually, two. One, that you don't have to be retired anymore to be a mentor. And two, with SCORE, what we are looking for now is most of what people think of when they think of SCORE is one-on-one mentoring. So you have to be what we call a certified mentor to do that with SCORE. There's training that you have to go through. You don't have to be a certified mentor anymore, though, to be a volunteer with SCORE. You can be a subject matter expert. You can be someone who volunteers to lead one of the chapters, either as a committee chair doing workshops, webinars. We've really gotten into, COVID has really kind of forced us into looking at ways that we can reach out more effectively and efficiently. Like I said, we only have 7 chapters in the state. With 180 volunteers, and that's nowhere near enough to cover the entire state. But the fact that now we can do things like Zoom conferencing and using some of the other video platforms, we can really literally reach out, not just across the state, but literally across the nation to do our mentoring and to impact the success of small businesses.
Well, and it's interesting because, I would want to make sure that whatever I would do is having an impact on my local community. But at the same time, if I said, okay, well, I want to be a marketing mentor, I could, because of Zoom, help a small business in California or Michigan or somewhere else as well, which, is kind of cool for me to be able to say that I can do that while at the same time still spending a lot of my focus on whatever my local community is.
Absolutely. And of course, the chapters that we have are very much locked into what's going on in their local community. They partner with local businesses, they partner with local governments and other non-governmental organizations to assist with community small business development. Our mission really states that we support successful small business communities through mentoring and education. So it's not just, we've kind of stepped beyond we're just working with a small business to really looking at how can we help communities develop their small business centers.
And Nikki, I know that SCORE as a whole, but Jim in particular, is a huge resource for you at the chamber that you can pass on their knowledge and mentoring options to your members.
Oh, absolutely. We're really fortunate to have Jim in particular. We've had a relationship with Jim for what's it been, 100 years now, Jim?
I think it's
well,
200.
Let's see. I moved to Front Royal in 2001. So yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But just being able to provide those resources, not only to our membership, but the entire business community, and Jim in particular is very involved. I know Jim's position is very broad. He covers a lot of the state and not just Front Royal and Warren County, but it's another one of those gems that we have. Jim actually lives here. So, he's invested in our community, and it absolutely is a benefit and a terrific thing to have Jim here in the community and to have the SCORE program here.
So
and
Jim,
Jim,
when you talk about chapters, is there a Shenandoah Valley chapter? Is there what chapter would we be in here in Winchester, Frederick, Clark, Warren, Shenandoah, Page?
Well, actually, this area is covered by the Shenandoah Valley, SCORE Shenandoah Valley. Now, their office is in Waynesboro, but that chapter actually geographically is the largest chapter in the state and covers literally the valley from Lexington to Winchester.
Wow.
Which is a great option too, Nikki, for you, because sometimes we don't have resources right here in our local community that we wish we did or that we need. So having access to an organization that can go to Waynesboro or Lexington and pull that expert is huge for you.
Well, it is. And, that's another thing is, sometimes folks just the thought that somebody is coming from another place to talk to them about something. I'm struggling with how to put that into words, but it just lends itself to, they're an expert. They're coming from somewhere else, if that makes sense. So that's a really good tool to have in the toolbox to be able to pull on some of the resources from SCORE, especially right now. Things are so difficult right now, and every small business has a different issue, but we're all facing the same larger issue. So
yeah, we all have the same underlying problem, but how it's affecting each of our businesses is unique in its own way, therefore needs a unique solution.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes that's what we think. We need our own solution that isn't the same as the solution for business B down the street. But Jim, you kind of helped tie that together and say, well, actually, no, it is the same solution. You're just going to apply it differently than somebody else. Having that perspective is where SCORE is so valuable.
Absolutely. One of the great things about nationwide, we have about 10,000 members. And of course, they all come from different backgrounds, different industries. A lot of times we will get questions from businesses that they'll say, well, I'm a restaurateur. I'd like to have somebody with some expertise in restaurants. We've got that. Although I will say, I'm not a farmer, but I have done a lot of mentoring with farms and farmers. A lot of the questions that they have are not, well, how do I raise a chicken? It's, how do I keep my financials straight? How do I do marketing for a farm? How do I sell my farm when I'm ready to leave because the kids don't want to take over? So those are general business questions that just about all of us can answer. And you don't really need someone with a specific background in that particular industry. But maybe you don't realize that and you need somebody to kind of explain it to you.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, can we talk a little bit about the state of small business now that we are, hopefully, I'm going to knock wood if it echoes through the mic, more than halfway through this pandemic. The light at the end of the tunnel is getting a little bit bigger, but I know a lot of small businesses have not made it this far. So can we talk a little bit about what some of the things are that SCORE offers that may help those that have get over this hump and keep continuing through?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to do all of that when we come back. We are on the Zoom screen today having a conversation with Nikki Kales from the Front Row Warren County Chamber of Commerce. Joining her is Jim Martin. He is the district director for SCORE in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're going to continue our small business conversation when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a Quick Money Chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Wednesday as you are listening to the show today. It is the Valley Business Today as you are listening. However, we have pre-recorded our conversation on the Zoom screen. I am staring at the smiling face of Nikki Kales from the Front Row Warren County Chamber of Commerce and the sort of smiling face of Jim Martin from SCORE. That at least got a chuckle out of him. So I have made my day. We have been talking about small business issues and how SCORE can bring some positive information and really good insight to small businesses. And Jim, SCORE services don't cost anything at all, right? They're free to any small business who reaches out and says, hey, I got a problem and I need some advice.
Free and confidential. That's what we are. Now, some of our well, it used to be workshops when you were coming in person, we would charge for. But yeah, for the most part, even now our webinars are going to be basically free. So yes. And to be honest, even there are a lot of resources out there that are free. It's surprising the number of clients that I get in talking with them, and they go, "This is all free? Wow, I never knew y'all existed." And that's one of the things that hopefully from, your cast here, the discussion that we're having, we can put the word out that, hey, there are a lot of free resources available to business owners, people that are interested in starting businesses, that they can tap into and learn from and not spend any money on.
There's a couple of reasons for that. I know that one of the things Christine Chris from the Lord Fairfax Small Business Development Center has always said is while they are free to the person who's asking the questions, in theory, they have actually paid for that because you're funded from the federal government. So your tax dollars are covering that. But at the same time, it's one of those things where just because it's free doesn't mean it's useful or not useful. And you get some really good things for nothing because these people have put in the time and the money and the energy to run a business and know the ups and the downs and the ins and the outs.
Well, and there are a lot of people that will sit there and go, well, if you're free, you can't be worth a whole lot.
Right, you get what you pay
just
for.
Like just like Christine, I echo that all the time. If you've paid your taxes, you've paid for SCORE services.
Well, and while we're talking about paying for things, funding has been a major issue for a lot of small businesses during the pandemic. And Nikki, you were telling us before we started recording that you were reading an article that there are some 400,000 small businesses that have been lost during the pandemic. So yeah. I know funding is a big issue, but Jim, it's not always the only issue, is it?
No. And unfortunately, a lot of we see this more with people that are interested in starting a business, and they come to us and say, well, I need money to start a business and I don't have the money, so I can't start a business. And that's normally not really true. There are a lot of things that you can do as a small business owner to get something started without a lot of expense. And a lot of times they don't understand that, but talking with a mentor can help bring them, you see the light go on and they go, wow, I didn't know I could do that, or I didn't know that that was available to me. And let them know that, no, you don't need a heck of a lot of money to get started. Maybe you need to change your ideas a little bit. Maybe instead of going out and renting that big brick and mortar store, you can do something out of your bedroom, out of your kitchen, out of your garage, and get started small and work your way up. You don't have to go with the gold encrusted toilet or anything to get started.
Well, and Nikki, we have learned on Friday mornings from the coffee break that the chamber hosts,
yes.
and Jim is always a part of those. And a lot of the local small businesses in Front Row and Warren County attend those. You and I have done several seminars and webinars in the last several months too, that people sometimes think, I've already done everything I can do. I have checked this and I have cut this and I've made these expenses go away and I've done everything I can do. And there is nothing left for me to try. But reaching out to somebody may give them more ideas.
Sure. It's, like we were talking at the break, it's a case of what you don't know, you don't know. And, me, for example, I mean, I use you a lot. You're probably my mentor, quite frankly, from a marketing perspective. But, you know, I can look at everything, have it laid out in front of me, and I've done everything in my mind. I've done everything I can possibly do to make it work. But then if you have a fresh set of eyes that come in and look at the same thing and talk it out with you, there may be 100 things that you haven't thought about. You know, you can't see outside of your bubble. And so having individuals who are seasoned professionals and they have experience, who can come in and look at what you're doing and maybe give you some fresh ideas that can help you either just get over the hump that you're dealing with or rejuvenate your entire business.
Well, and I learned we did that 5 marketing musts in 2021. Yes. We did that webinar a few weeks ago, and a lot of the people that were in on that webinar, Arlene in particular, was talked about how some of the things that I said, you really must be doing these marketing things in 2021. She said, well, I kind of already knew all that, and I kind of was doing some of them. Sometimes having a mentor to hold you accountable. You may already even know it, but you don't think it's as important as maybe it is, or you're not devoting the time to it because you're lost in something else that's in the weeds that isn't going to help you. That's where having somebody kind of be there in an ongoing way is a whole lot more beneficial.
And that's very true, Janet. And, you know, one of the things that you mentioned that Nikki has her Friday morning coffee breaks. And one of the great things about that is the opportunity for business owners to talk among themselves. You know, business owners should be mentoring the other business owners as much as reaching out to organizations like SCORE and SBDC. Building strong small business communities really starts at the bottom up. It can't be something that is pushed down on them by federal, state, or local governments or non-governmental organizations. Can't be forced on them by EDAs, by chambers of commerce, by SBA, by SCORE. It really has to start at the ground level and work its way up. And that takes leadership on the part of the small business owners that are in that community. All these other organizations that provide the resources, we're just feeder groups. You know, we're there to help and assist, but it really has to start at the grassroots level.
And I think too, it's one of those things where somebody can walk in your front door and say, hey, I think this is a great business idea. I'm going to give you $1 million so that you can grow it and make it work. But if you don't have the financial knowledge, the marketing knowledge, the product inventory knowledge that you need, that $1 million isn't going to do you any good. So sometimes money isn't the solution. It's understanding and knowing and having a passion for the business that you're in.
Well, and that's if you look back at, you know, we've just finished up the National Football League season. We're getting ready to go into the playoffs to the Super Bowl, and of course, the Super Bowl has always been a big opportunity for businesses to put out their advertising. And if you look at past years, you can see all kinds of businesses that put commercials on the Super Bowl, spent millions of dollars, and then completely collapsed because they didn't have a plan. All they had was money.
Yeah.
So it's not just about money. It's about having a plan and knowing what you're going to do. And that's where having a mentor and working with organizations like SCORE, like SBDCs are so important.
And we see that too, even on versions of like Shark Tank. These businesses go make their pitches at Shark Tank and they've got a good product. They may even have a really good business plan, but they don't account for what the visibility of being on Shark Tank is going to do for them. And I think there was somebody even locally that had done that and did not expect the overwhelming amount of orders. They didn't even take on him. They didn't accept, and nobody invested in his company, but his website crashed because he was on the show that day, and he lost tons and tons of money because he wasn't prepared for that particular possibility.
It's very true.
So Jim, how can people reach out? How can they call you up? Do they email you? Do they go to a website? What is the best first step for a small business owner to take?
Well, certainly I'd say go to our website, score.org, and just go through the resources that are available there. You'd be amazed at what's available there. We have for businesses that are looking to start, we've got a 12-part startup roadmap that they can work their way through. We've got some great templates for financials that can help them kind of develop, okay, this is what a budget looks like. This is what a cash flow spreadsheet looks like. This is what my profit and loss spreadsheet looks like, and they can kind of get educated along that way. And then when they're ready to actually contact a mentor, they can fill in. There's a real simple, you just put in your zip code and it will send you to the closest chapter that's available to you. If you have the name of somebody that you want, a SCORE mentor, and you want to contact them, you can put their name in and it will put them in touch with you. But that's really the easiest way. Just go to score.org and check it out.
And Nikki, you can connect them to SCORE and Jim Martin through the chamber as well, right?
Oh, of course, absolutely. And we've got their information on our website. And of course, anybody can call the chamber or shoot us an email at info@frontroyalchamber.com. We'd be happy to make those connections for you.
So Jim, my biggest problem is a weird problem that probably no other small business owner in the world has. And that is, I hate doing invoicing. I literally have 6 clients now that are yelling at me because it is the 5th of January and I have not invoiced them yet for December. And I don't know why I hate it, because it puts money back in the bank, but sitting down to do those invoices is the most annoying thing in the world. So maybe I'll reach out and you can give me a solution for that problem.
Oh, gee, Janet, that's I've never heard that problem before. No, you'd be surprised at the number of small businesses that, they don't collect from, their clients, their customers. And also
I know what my problem is.
They're suppliers that are. So yes, those are the sorts of issues that we do see all the time.
And I will tell you, I know that my problem is that I don't do a good job of tracking my time throughout the month as I'm doing the work for these clients. So when it comes to the end of the month, I have to sit down and I have to go dig back through my notes and I have to look at text messages and pull out emails and do all of this kind of thing. Somebody at SCORE could sit down and help me work out a system so that at the end of the month, that's all done, is my assumption. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
There we go. We've solved so many problems today, Nikki. Good job.
Right? It's all about who you know. And Jim, thank you for the plug for the coffee break, the coffee breaks on Friday mornings. If you heard us talking about that and you're interested, you can go to the Chamber's Facebook page. And you can get the link to join us at 10 a.m. on Friday mornings. It's a great conversation. And you never know what's going to happen in those groups. To me, that's my favorite thing about the whole thing, is you just never know, and you never know who's going to come in a mood and who's not going to come in a mood, and how our conversation is going to flow. But it's a beautiful thing. And in the COVID era that we're in, being able to meet face-to-face and network just isn't a possibility right now. And so those sorts of events are the closest that we can get. And we need those things. Like Jim said, businesses need to be working together and they need to be supporting one another. When I say this, Janet's going to be like, man, she's been on the Forbes website way too much. But one of the articles that I read on the Forbes website this morning was about small business resolutions that they should make for the new year. And number 2 was support one another. So.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I've gotten 2 guests. Michelle from Samuel's Public Library was on the show last week because she was at coffee break and I had an opening. Kimmy Hancock, I almost called her by her not married name.
It's still okay because her marriage is new.
That's true. So Kimmy's coming on with Code Ninjas in a couple of weeks. It's a good ground for me to find guests, which is, a free marketing ploy. So It works all the way around.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you both for joining me on the Zoom screen today. I appreciate you both taking some time out of your morning.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. And, time flies so quickly. It's, has it been a half hour already?
Well, technically, Jim, the 3 of us have been talking for an hour and 10 minutes. But yes, the show has only been 30. And Nikki is going to come back with me, I believe, again next Wednesday. We talked about funding being an issue. Herb Melrath is going to join Nikki and I on the Zoom screen, I think next Wednesday, and answer some questions about this new round of funding that was just approved from the federal government,
Sure.
how it's going to work, what the application process is going to look like. So we'll be talking about that again next week. And before we wrap up, I just want to do a quick year in review of sorts. So I did a little podcast number crunching, and we had over 23,000 listens to the Valley Today podcast just from our website. I haven't pulled the numbers yet from Apple and Google and Spotify and where all the other places are that people listen, but I thought it was interesting that the number one show that most people listen to on our website was a show that I did, ironically enough, with my husband, which is kind of funny when I think about this, with Dodson Pest Control, about bed bugs. So I'm not really sure what that says about our community and the pandemic, but hey, if you want to know about bed bugs, apparently the Valley Today podcast is the place to go. I'll meet you back here tomorrow at just a few minutes after noon. Let's listen together then.